You don't struggle to start. You struggle to continue. You felt that moment before. The beginning feels electric, clear, almost inevitable. And then, slowly, something fades. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just enough for you to stop showing up. And you tell yourself the same story again. I just need more discipline. But what if that's not true? What if the real reason you can't stay consistent is something you've never questioned? Problem. Deep dive. It doesn't look like failure at first. It looks like momentum. You make a plan. You feel focused. You show up for a few days, maybe weeks. You even start to believe. This time is different. But then something subtle happens. You hesitate. You delay one day, then another. And suddenly, the thing that felt exciting starts to feel heavy. You don't quit loudly. You drift away quietly. And the worst part isn't stopping. It's the confusion. Because you know you're capable. You've proven it in short bursts. So why can't you sustain it? This pattern starts to shape how you see yourself. You begin to say things like, I'm just inconsistent. I never follow through. I lack discipline. And over time, this becomes part of your identity. Not just something you do, but something you believe you are. In psychology, this is called self-concept reinforcement. Your brain builds a story about who you are based on repeated patterns. And once that story is formed, your behavior starts aligning with it automatically. But here's what's rarely said. This pattern isn't random. It's not laziness. It's not lack of motivation. It's something much more precise and much more protective. You're not inconsistent. You're avoiding something, not consciously, but systematically. Because staying consistent doesn't just lead to results, it leads to change. And change is a threat to identity. Your brain doesn't just want success, it wants familiarity, even if that familiarity is frustrating, even if it keeps you stuck. In behavioral psychology, this is known as homeostasis, a tendency to return to a familiar state, not because it's better, but because it's known. So when you start becoming consistent, you're not just building a habit. You're stepping into a version of yourself your brain doesn't fully recognize yet. And that uncertainty feels dangerous. So instead of pushing forward, your system subtly pulls you back, not to hurt you, but to protect you. Psychological mechanism. Think of your identity like a thermostat, not a goal, but a setting. If your thermostat is set to inconsistent, any attempt to rise above that level creates internal resistance. You start strong, because motivation overrides the system temporarily. But consistency isn't powered by motivation. It's regulated by identity. In neuroscience, this involves the interaction between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for planning, goals, and long-term thinking. It says, stay consistent. This matters. But the limbic system is older. It's emotional, protective, focused on safety. It asks, is this familiar? Is this safe? And if the answer is no, it triggers discomfort, not panic, just subtle resistance. You feel it as loss of motivation, increased distraction, sudden tiredness, urges to delay. Not because the task changed, but because you are changing, and your brain hasn't caught up yet. Here's the mental model. Consistency is not a discipline problem. It's an identity expansion problem. You're trying to act like someone your nervous system doesn't fully recognize, so it pulls you back to what feels like you. even if that version is holding you back. Practical framework. So, how do you break this? Not by forcing discipline, but by working with your brain's need for safety. 1. 1. Shrink the identity gap. What to do? Lower the intensity of your actions. Make them almost too small. Why it works, the brain resists but it accepts gradual shifts. This is called cognitive ease. Small actions feel safe and repeatable. Example. Instead of, I will work out for 1 hour daily, start with 5 minutes, not to build fitness, but to build familiarity. 2. Anchor. Actions to identity, not outcome. What to do? Focus on who you are becoming, not what you achieve. Why it works? The brain reinforces identity through repeated behavior. This is called self-perception theory. You believe who you are based on what you do consistently. Example, instead of, I need to finish this project, shift to, I am someone who shows up daily. The action becomes proof of identity. What to do? When you feel resistance, why it works, your limbic system is reacting to unfamiliarity, not danger. Labeling the feeling reduces its intensity. This is called affect labeling. Example, instead of saying, I don't feel like doing this, say, this is the moment my brain resists change. Now the feeling becomes expected, not controlling. 4. Build emotional familiarity, not just habit. What to do? Repeat the behavior in a calm, controlled way. Focus on how it feels, not just completing it. Why it works? The brain learns through emotional associations. Repeated exposure reduces perceived threat. This is similar to exposure therapy. Example, if you're building a writing habit, don't just write. Notice, I can sit here, I can do this. This is safe. You're training your nervous system, not just your skill. 5. Close the loop. Your brain starts associating consistency with completion and satisfaction. Example, at night, simply note, I kept the promise today. Not how much you did, just that you did. This builds internal trust. So here's the shift. You don't need more discipline. You need a new internal setting. Consistency isn't something you force. It's something you become familiar with. Think of it like this. You're not climbing a mountain. You're adjusting a thermostat. Slowly, quietly, repeatedly. Each small action tells your brain, this is who we are now, and over time, resistance fades. Not because the work got easier, but because it became you. You were never inconsistent. You were just protecting an identity that felt safe, even if it kept you small. But now you see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So the next time you feel that resistance, don't step back. Don't rush forward either. Just stay for a moment longer than usual, because that moment is where the old version of you ends and the new one quietly begins.